are we still talking about women and climate change in the 21st century?
Because we've needed to realise how central to tackling climate change having a strong gender dimension and women's empowerment is. And that's why the publication today of this book about the stories of women is very important. It's the legacy of Minister Maite Mashaban, who was president of COP18, but actually it's a new narrative on climate. People are coping, millions of them, on the ground with worsening conditions brought about by climate, and the vast majority are women for obvious reasons. So learning how they're adapting is so important.
And remind us, when we say that women are on the front line of climate change, remind us what that actually means.
When you undermine food security, it's women who have to bring food to the table. We did a field study in Uganda, and we found that women are already adapting. They're finding they have shorter seasons, so they have to diversify. But they're very smart at doing this, but they have very little support and no insurance. What we need now is a new decision, which we're putting forward with a lot of others, for a gender balance in all of the negotiations in conferences. Women are more intergenerational and more practical. So having a balance in all the delegations and the Green Climate Fund, the technical committee, right across the board, would make a huge difference. It would open up the real debate on climate, which is about people, not just melting glaciers.
Yeah. And when we look at the climate issue, many of the leaders are already women. Obviously, Christiana Figueres, the EU Climate Commissioners, Connie Hedegaard, and we've had the last two COP presidents, Espinosa and Mashavani. But is that in a sense, is that hiding a problem beneath?
I think it hides the problem of the fact that the vast majority of delegations are men, led by men. I looked around this morning in the hall, and actually the draft decision we put forward got quite a bit of support from delegations, and most of them were men, which was encouraging actually. We have had very strong women, and you mentioned them, Christiana Figueres, and she's very supportive of this, and the three presidents who were women. Now Qatar has an opportunity to do something that will surprise. It will help Qatar, it will help the Gulf region, and it will obviously be very significant for future climate discussions, because we will be working to gender balance. It will take a bit of time, but it's so crucial to changing the narrative, changing our perception of what climate is about. Climate is about those who were knocked out by that Superstorm Sandy in New York, about flooding in Britain. But these are climate resilient countries. There are things that happen, insurance, FEMA, federal programs, national policy programs in poor countries, and this is something I've seen day after day. It wrecks families, it wrecks communities, and it's women who try to hold the family together, who try to rebuild the community, who try to find the crops that will grow in brackish water. And so it's actually absolutely vital that we bring a strong gender dimension and women's leadership into the climate debate.
And on a final point then, I mean, these negotiations are, I guess, notorious for how difficult they have become. How are you going to get this issue into what are already complex talks?
I'm very encouraged by the degree of support from every region. Finland has put it through the European Union, from Africa, from Bangladesh, from Mexico, from all different countries and different approaches, because I think the logic of it is there. I'm worried about procedural matters at a conference like this, so we're trying to be very smart on the procedure, and I'm hoping that the presidency of the COP itself will help to steer this decision through, because it does have broad support.